G'day everybody, welcome back to another week of VCS action, our final week of the regular season. As always, I am Everyday. With me here is Yulwei. How are you tonight, man? Yeah, we are absolutely starting out pretty much the most important series of the week in terms of playoff standings. EVOS needs to win this one to keep their playoff dreams alive. And it's a bit of a tall order against GAM. Probably the best team in the league, I think we agree. Just looking at chat, apparently you're not audible your way. Is your OBS? We've had some tech issues why we started a little bit late. So chat, if you notice anything wrong, please do tell us because there is a little bit of tech screwery going on. I can, but whether or not the stream can is a whole different question. And no, it's not playoffs. Yulwei apologizes, everyone. I'll be his MC. It's not playoffs. This is the second. This is the last week of the regular season. It's always BO3 in the VCS. VCS does BO3 for every series. It's a much more competitive format.
Yeah, it's the final week of regular season play, and can you hear me now? I'm a little bit confused what's
Chat,
going on
can
here
you
with
hear what?
OBS, because it's
Here, I'm just gonna mute myself and I'll just unmute the stream so I can see. I can hear.
yeah, this is why?
The stream can hear you. I just checked. You're
Okay,
audible.
okay,
You're
I'm
fine.
audible.
You're a little bit
Nice.
quiet. You're a little bit quiet, but you're fine.
Okay,
I think
okay,
you're okay.
okay. Sorry everyone for the problems. I'm not quite sure what's going on. My OBS reset today, probably because of Windows updates. We all love those. So
Ah, love it.
yeah. I'll just
Making our job hard.
turn my volume a little bit up, and then we should be good to go. Luckily, we have a little bit of a feature here, so a little bit of time to adjust. Yep. And as always with GAM games, features last quite long. They like to feature GAM a lot.
I mean, it makes sense, right? GAM has a lot of players with very strong brand power, so it's good for the VCS to show them off.
Yeah, for GAM, actually, while this series is still important for playoff implications, and they want to win to get first place, there's another interesting race they are participating in, which is MVP, and Levi is on top of the MVP standings at 700 official MVP points, which means, yeah, if he plays like he did the last few weeks, he has very good chances of getting in there, or getting the first place, I should say.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously that's incredibly important. The totally legitimate MVP that means everything.
Yeah, have a look at the standing.
Yeah, nice.
EVOS looks quite close to the playoffs, right? It's the first 4 teams that get to playoffs, and EVOS is only 1 series behind. The big problem for EVOS, they are 0-2 head-to-head against Dashing Buffaloes, and even though their game score is better right now, even though they have lost 1 more series and won a little bit fewer, so their game score is actually +2 better than Dashing Buffaloes, but this game score does not come into account before head-to-head, so head-to-head is more important, which means EVOS has to either overtake DBL in terms of series wins, or there's another interesting chance. EVOS could also go for a three-way tie with Loki and DBL, and then if it's a three-way tie, game score matters more. So that's probably the best option. But Loki has to 0-2 this week for them to get the two-way tie, three-way tie, which is possible because they play Flash and QG. But yeah, a lot has to happen for EVOS.
QG hasn't been looking super great recently, so a little bit difficult to see that happening. But you never know, and we always like to keep the standings a little bit more interesting.
And DivKid is in once again today. We've seen him play the last series they played, the 2 against Loki. He was actually in over Norway. It's a little bit surprised. I don't really understand what they're why they sub on Norway or DivKid. No idea. Their stats look quite similar. I think DivKid has a little bit stronger laning phase. The champion pool is a little bit different as well. Norway really likes to go for a solution, but other than that, don't really feel like you have to sub your ADC in and out if they play ADC champs anyway. It's a little bit strange.
Yeah, it's a bit weird. I'm not 100% sure what the reasoning is behind for them if they play No Way or DivKid. It may just be who's performing better in scrims coming into the week. Who knows, really. But we are into champion select now for this first in the best of 3. Xayah is the immediate ban, as GAM often does. They don't want to play the Xayah because they don't play around their bot lane. They just want to take away a strong champion. It makes sense.
Yep, I like the Xayah ban already because she can handshake almost every bot lane. Maybe not Xayah Khan into Caitlyn Morgana, but even then, we've actually seen some quite successful Xayah Khan pairings into the hard counter lane. So just get rid of the safest and best scaling ADC in terms of mid-game and late-game transition. By the way, Tinnikon is still there as the coach. Yuna is still banned. Very harsh ban there.
Ridiculously harsh. I still can't believe how harsh the VCS is with their punishment.
Yeah, if you missed why he's banned, last week I think, he lost his ID card that's used to get into the stadium, if I heard this one correctly.
Or it's to get into a backstage room or something.
And you got punished for 2 weeks. Yeah. It's ridiculous.
It's so harsh. Like, you'd think they'd just make him pay for the replacement. That'd be fair, but geez, the man's just lost a card. But regardless, looking at things that are actually happening on the stage, we see the Kiana ban coming in, even though Yoshino's not in for this series. It's Kiaya, so
it's a ban against Levi, right? Because he played one Kiana jungle game as well.
Yeah, he had a really good game as well. And the instant Jace pick here.
This is really surprising. Jace has not seen too much play. In fact, I think he was disabled as well, right?
I think so. I think he had a bug. And it's the instant Caitlyn Morgana as well. I think, to be fair to EVOS, this is how you attack GAM. You attack their bot lane, you pick a really dominant bot lane. Does Levi even know how to go bot?
Nope.
I'm not sure. He hasn't shown that yet.
He does not know what a bot lane is, and this once again looks like a topside focused draft. Jace, Elise, that's top lane snowball. Ooh, they actually changed it over to Tahm Kench, so a very safe bot lane setup. Looks even more like a top lane focused draft now, because it's Tahm Kench, so they'll pair it with Varus or maybe some mage to just sit on lane, clear minion waves, maybe lose 1, 2, 3 turret platings, never look at bot lane the whole game.
Yep. Just get that duct tape out, cover it up. And Elise is the actual lock-in in the end. Very good champion for Levi. He likes his early game AP junglers, so she fits that ticket very, very nicely. And yeah, this will probably be the Elise and Jace show for GAM, at least in the early game.
Oh no!
Don't think we'll
no!
Oh dear, but one. That's scary. That's fine into the 1v1, but you've got to know that Elise is going to be camping top, and
but one's gonna die a lot in this game.
Yeah, that's gonna be rough.
I mean, sometimes game ones from GAM are a little bit happy or a little bit rusty as well, but we'll have to see how they how they execute on this one. Levi's
Yeah,
Zero synergy should be there.
you'd think so. I mean, Rumble is a fairly safe laner if the Elise isn't coming up too often or if he's covered by Sorn. So, it's possible. The Renekton ban is purely against Kiaya. We know how much Garm loves the Renekton mid.
Yeah, and we already see Gum preparing a strong jungle matchup with the first jungle ban coming in here. I think they'll want to ban out the J4 here as well, so force Sorn on his most played champ in Sejuani, and yeah, then Sejuani probably does not have priority over the top lane matchup, which means they can freely visit top lane with Elise and Jace and snowball the game.
Yep.
Yeah, there it is.
I think that makes sense. Ooh, I think you might be a few seconds ahead of me because I know that just happened to me. But we could also see the Nidalee. It's also possible.
I would really not like the Nidalee with it.
I agree. I wouldn't like it, but we might see it.
Saun has actually not played Nidalee too often, and there's Sejuani. That was very much expected.
Yep.
Even though Nidalee was his most played champ in spring, he has only played twice in summer. So in summer, DNK is much more of our Nidalee main here in the VCS. And Saun
Yeah, it's very
has to go for team fighting and late game scaling junglers. Now Sejuani will be his single most played champ, which is really not what you expect from Saun if you look at Spring Split. But he changed a little bit.
that he has, and with the Irelia lock in here, the solo lanes for Gum could actually go either way. Jace and Irelia are both capable of going to either lane, and does Zin want the Ezreal? That would make a lot of sense. It's a very safe lane. Or is he going to go...
What do you think of this? He has played Vladimir bot lane before. They
He's
won
just
the
going to get
game.
destroyed by Caitlyn.
Yeah, I think it's not a great pick into Caitlyn Morgana.
I like the Ezreal a lot more.
Yeah, I have to agree with that. Even though there would have been 3 AD focused carries, they still have Elise, so she still brings a little bit of AP damage. So,
Ooh, and the Silas lock in. So that's a mid lane Silas. We've been seeing this. He's not just a jungler now.
no, he's actually been more of a mid laner again this patch.
Yeah.
I'm a little bit confused by the Silas pick. Why do you want to pick Silas into either of these solo laners?
Yeah, there's no real good ults, really.
And there's no magic
What else?
damage. You want to pick him into magic damage. That's
Yeah.
strange. This
Doesn't
last
make
pick,
huge amount of
Silas, has to be some comfort champ. And now with triple AP topside once again, if you count Sejuani, I mean, she's kind of an AP champ in the early game. Does a little bit of AD damage as well, so... Yeah, but the mixed damage profile does not look too great for EVOS, and overall the ganking possibilities on the top side for EVOS are not great. If Aurelian in the top lane, not easy to gank with Rumble, no CC setup. I mean, if he gets on top of Irelia, he can stack the Sejuani passive, but how does he ever get on top of Irelia? That's not happening, so...
Ooh, my stream just froze. We may have to resync once the game starts. My fault, everyone. But, yeah, I agree with what you're saying. I think I'm not sure about this team comp from EVOS. It doesn't make a huge amount of sense to me.
Yeah, that's a little strange. It looks very much like comfort picks. I like the bot lane setup. They focus heavily on a bot lane. Really don't like the Silas last pick. I'd already questioned the Rumble pick. Sejuani's fine. But both solo laners are a little strange. This is very much focused on mid-game team fights with Rumble and Silas being their strongest once level 11 and 1.5 items hit. So they need to accelerate the game. They need to try to get an early advantage for their bot lane and use their power spikes in mid and top, group up, and blow the game open at 15 to 20 minutes around Dragon possibly, maybe around an early Baron as well. Very timid timing window, in my opinion.
I agree, and I think that's a very difficult thing to do against Garm as well. Garm's very good in those early skirmishes, as they do have some very mechanically gifted players, obviously.
But one thing that's actually good against Gum with this draft is Gum will probably handshake the fights, right? Gum is very keen to fight, so
That's very true. They'll let you fight them.
Yeah.
Let's just, before there's anything to really talk about,
I
can we
stop
just
at 1
re-see?
minute. Yeah.
Okay. 59, 1 minutes.
Okay. Well, that was very easy.
Yeah, I refreshed, so I think we might have just been pulled fully to live. So not too bad.
Are there any interesting choices in terms of keystones? I don't really see anything that's too
I
interesting.
don't see anything
Oh,
particularly surprising.
I mean, High's rune choice is a little bit interesting because usually we see a Guardian on the Morgana. This is
That's
a little
true.
bit more aggressive.
I think that makes sense in this lane, though, that you don't need the Guardian. Tamkench Vlad is not going to do anything.
No, you'll probably
They are
never
just
see
going
any
to try
damage
and
on your champs for the first, but I don't know, 10 minutes?
Yeah, like, this is pretty much the freest lane that DivKid could ever have.
Yeah, that's very true.
There may as well not be people in the lane against him.
I actually think
Or,
they GAM has complicated their own draft a lot with his last pick, Vladimir.
I agree.
With Ezreal, they would have spiked at the same timing that EVOS spikes, like 2 items mid game. Now with Vladimir, especially in this lane where he falls behind quite significantly, Vladimir needs 3 items probably to come online, which means he will be insanely weak when EVOS is strongest, which is not great for GAM. I really don't like this Vladimir pick. We'll have to see why.
I mean, it's also, the Vlad's also going to take just an absurdly long time to ever hit his powerful state because he's not going to get farm in the early game.
Yeah, as you can see,
Like,
he's
look at
already
this.
struggling a lot. Yeah.
DivKid is just bullying them already. We're 3 minutes in. Like, this is going to be absolutely just apocalyptic down there for the Vlad. He's having a real bad time.
What do you think of this interesting last second swap from GAM in terms of solo lane allocations?
I think it makes sense, honestly.
Yeah.
I think putting the range of Jace up against Silas is very smart. I think Irelia does quite well into Rumble. Overall, I think it just makes sense.
Yeah, I think it's a swap because Rumble is notorious as being able to handshake lane into Jace. So they thought, okay, if top lane is even anyway, we can just put our late game scaling champ in the top lane and let our lane dominating champ play mid lane. Which, yeah, I like the choice as well. And it also sets up easier ganks because Zeros has CC on this Aurelia, so if he lands the Flawless Duet into Cocoon from Levi, Rumble's just dead, so even easier ganks on the Rumble.
Yeah, very, very true. We do need to be paying attention to where Levi's going. He's going for a full clear at the moment, not trying to get a super early bit of pressure onto that Rumble. We imagine that is who he's going to go after. The Silas is pretty difficult, especially as the Elise with that magic damage shield. So
yeah, so far nothing really has happened, which is great for EVOS, because they don't want to fall behind in the early game against Elise. Their big power spike comes, as we said, at 15, 16 to 20 minutes, when all the champs have hit 1.5 items and level 11. So they don't really want to do anything in the early game. They are very fine with just farming. This is an interesting wave setup for Zeros, though. He might be able to prolong the freeze there.
God, this is so painful in the bot lane. Every time DivKid gets the chance to step forward, he just gets black shielded, and there is literally nothing that can be done by the bot lane of GAM. He just doesn't even take damage. He just uses the black shield health by hitting the tower, then walks away.
But we have to command Zin on his last sitting, because so far he has done a great job on, as we just heard, one of his one-trick champions before. So he seems to be very, very good on the Vlad. I think the first game he played Vlad, he was there. He did not really matter,
that's the story of Zin on this team.
It's true.
He's there, and I'm not even saying that to like talk bad about him. We've said this many, many times. He just needs to be there. All that GAM's bot lane has to do is just not feed.
Yeah. Don't int, and the rest of the game, the map will win the game.
Yeah. And that's, like, again, not saying that because of who Zin is. It literally would not matter who is in that bot lane. That would still be true, because that's how the team plays. And it's good that Zin knows that that's his role. Just want to be very clear that we're not talking bad about it. I know people really like it.
Yeah, and we have seen many comments about the bot lane for GAM being a problem. I really don't agree. I don't think their bot lane is a problem right now.
Ooh, but Tier 1 could have a bit of a problem here. Has to burn the flash to get away from Levi. Ooh, takes a lot of damage anyway. Puts a fair bit out himself with that stolen Jace transform.
Yeah, in the end he comes out even. Has to flash away though, so now the repeat gank could be a possibility. It's not too easy on Sylas. Good thing for Jace, he forced out the ult steal from Sylas, so now Sylas is sitting on a very long cooldown to be able to steal Jace ult. I'm not quite sure what the cooldown, the innate cooldown is on Jace. Shouldn't be too long, so might actually be able to just use the ult again once his ult is up. Usually there's...
You mean the Sylas passive?
Yeah, yeah.
Where you can't steal.
Yeah.
That's based purely on Sylas, isn't it?
No. That's based
Sylas
on...
ult?
No. That's based on the ult cooldown from the enemy.
Oh, my mistake.
But it's longer than the ult from the cooldown from the enemy. That's why Sylas is notoriously bad against very ult-reliant champs, like Fiora, for example, in the 1v1. Because Fiora can just force ult for ult trades and then ult him again while her ult steal is still on cooldown for him. And then he has no ult against an ult. So that should not be a problem against Jace, if I'm correct about the innate timer, because Jace's ult cooldown obviously is not very long.
Yep, that should be the case. But we'll have to see. But regardless, no first blood. It was just the flash for the ignite. And all lanes still fairly even, except for the top lane where Zeros...
Zeros is doing Zero things.
He just doesn't lose lane, does he? He just wins.
He hard wins in CS every game. It's very impressive.
It's pretty ridiculous. Yeah, I don't know how he does it. Every single game. Rumble shouldn't be this far behind. Sorn gets found in his own jungle, but fairly easy escape. But this should be a red buff steal.
And this is especially surprising because this time he really did this himself. No real attention from Levi. He was there once, but nothing really came of it. So yeah, this was just on Zeros, and this is a matchup where Rumble should definitely not fall behind almost 40 CS.
Oh no, he used the equalizer to clear the wave right as he was getting dived. There's a lot of trouble here. Up goes Levi.
Oh shit.
And they should be able to get out safely with the Spiderlings taking tower.
That was pretty
Always
close.
Good, first blood traded for an Ocean Drake in the end, and I mean it was close, but in the end,
yeah,
really
they get the kill.
So.
And sadly, the kill goes to Levi, which is okay on this acceleration jungler. So a little bit of gold for the elites is always nice in the early game. Wow, they might just kill him again.
They're just gonna kill but one again.
Oof.
And just like when 30 to 50 wild hogs break into your backyard, there was absolutely no answer available to but one.
Yeah, this now is really bad. The first kill is kind of forgivable, because you can't do anything about the gank, about the dive. And the kill went over to the jungler, so you're like, it's not great, but it can teleport back to lane, I can farm. He teleported back to lane and immediately got collapsed on. So now he loses even more CS, he loses turret platings to the earlier. She got the second kill, so now he's in a very bad position.
Absolutely, and speaking of bad positions, the bot lane is also in a very bad one. If it weren't for those 2 kills, it would actually be a pretty even trade across the map. The CS is obviously a little bit better for Xin, as we were applauding how well he's doing considering the lane assignments.
Yep.
But
Zeros and Dish get on even CS, but the enemies have done very different things. But one has not been able to do anything in lane and has fallen behind consistently at 40 CS at 10 minutes. While we see Sorn getting engaged from Levi. Levi is not strong enough to get the kill. So he jumps away. So, we talked about the Vlad bot lane pick. I don't like it. I think
the observations being made in chat are very foolish, but
I mean, I can kind of understand where you're coming from with preferring Vlad over Ezreal, if you just look at solo queue and stuff like that, because most of the time Ezreals don't do anything and Vlad pops off. But I think Ezreal pro play is a very strong champion, especially if you don't want to play around bot lane. And Vlad just falls behind more and more, as you can see. At least he's still keeping up in CS.
Yeah.
He takes so much time to kind of come online. I really don't like the Vlad pick into what EVOS has assembled. As we talked about, EVOS 20-minute power spike, maybe a little bit earlier even.
Yeah, you want him to be able to fight them at that. I mean, it's again, as I said in chat, it's not going to matter because GAM just gets carried by their solo lanes, and as we were saying, Zin just needs to not die, and he hasn't, so that's fine. But I mean, for tower plates, DivKid has a chance to snowball this. It's going to be really hard considering Zeros is absolutely dominating. Slay's in a lot of trouble, but that's a time Kent under tower. Did you really think that was going to work, EVOS?
That was strange.
Well, at least they tried. At least they tried.
I mean, they gave their bot lane even more priority, because now Tahm Kench has lost a lot of health, so he can't even stand there and take all the turret damage. But they'll lose the first turret race, because top lane... Yeah, nicely done by GAM, completely abandoning bot lane, as we always see, but this time they are able to counter snowball on top lane.
Slay gets caught in the binding, but there comes the engage. Slay is dead. High goes Golden. Kiaya is here. This should be an easy trade onto the Morgana. The ult went off, but didn't really... Actually, in fact, didn't even go off. It should just started.
Look at the mini-map. Look at the mini-map.
This is going to be an inner tower, inner trade. They're not even going to get that bot lane tower. This has gone all wrong for EVOS. GAM has run the gambit, and they should be able to get an inhib tower here. Oh no.
But one died again under his own inner turret beneath.
Of course he did, but But1 has great potential, as apparently some analysts were saying. And, I mean, Levi is absolutely screwed here, so they get a nice kill in exchange, but that's 3 towers for GAM, and already a 3k gold lead. Zeros is going to TP out, just gets out of dodge. Very, very, very smart. Knew he couldn't just run away.
Yeah, this was a very GAM move. There is absolutely no reason to go for the inhibitor there. It does not bring you a whole lot of map advantage. It actually gives the enemy... Yeah, very little gold. And it actually gives the enemy top lane an opportunity to freeze. As we see this, very nicely executed.
That wasn't even But1's fault. What can you do when Zeros styles on you?
That was nicely done by Zeros. Flash ult. But yeah, I actually think it's not great to get the inhibitor turret this early, because you don't... the enemy team... So, GAM, I should say, can't mindlessly push in waves anymore, because the waves will just freeze in front of the inhibitor. If you're not able to push the inhibitor, which should not be able, the lead is not big enough to go for the inhibitor this early on. The enemy top laner can just freeze forever in the top lane, and there's no reset mechanism without the turret.
I mean, at the moment, they're not putting anyone top, though. I mean, now But1's going back. He should get there in plenty of time, especially since he has Equalizer to clear the wave. That's an Infernal Dragon, so at least EVOS getting something back. Always nice.
But this is more discipline than we expected for GAM. They didn't go for the Infernal Contest, which is kind of what we would expect looking at GAM, but it's really not what they need to do. They have such a big advantage. They don't need the Infernal Dragon. It doesn't really do anything for them. They'll outscale anyway. So I like this. Very, very disciplined choice from GAM. They called off the Infernal Dragon. They can contest the next one probably, because Vladimir will hit 2 items at that point, and Jace and Irelia are very strong.
Kiaya having a 1v1 here, but Dia has bitten off way more than he can chew. And down he goes. Not the best play out of that. Silas there definitely didn't look great. But1 gets caught in the cocoon, but any dive is averted by Storm's arrival.
Yeah. And this is not great for EVOS, as everything has gone downhill for them. Now mid lane matchup is losing as well, which...
Kiaya flashes away from the binding.
4k gold lead at 15 minutes. GAM usually up to a great gold lead most of the time. They have one of the highest differences at 15 minutes at 1,400 on average. And this game, they will push the average even higher because it's 4k at 15 minutes. Man, this has been a dominant performance for GAM.
Yeah, that's pretty disastrous if you're an EVOS fan, especially since this is how you stay in playoffs contention. We do need to see EVOS at least having a bit of a better game too, because this one's going to be very, very difficult to recover from. Even with the lead that DivKid has, now that the lane phase has ended, Xin, if he wants, can just go sit in the bot lane, catch some farm for a little while, and catch up, make sure he's actually a champion. Or they'll just put Zeros, who can't be 1v1 by anyone on the other team, in a side lane, and he'll just slowly win the game.
Yeah, he's now finally put in bot lane, which is a great choice in my opinion, because as you said, rightfully, there's no one who can... it's probably even hard to 2v1 him right now. Maybe if you go DivKid and Dia or something, but...
Dia tries to engage, Slay getting caught, but that's a time catch. Then Dia gets caught out, he goes down, Slay is still alive, so EVOS gets nothing out of that, and they lose their mid laner.
Yeah, it was a 5v4, by the way.
Yep, 5v4. I mean, it was barely even a 5v4, it was more just a 1v4. Dia was completely alone.
Yeah, not a great showing for Dia so far. Often touted as the most promising player on EVOS' side, but definitely today struggling a little bit against Kiaya on the other side.
Yep, ult trade there. Xin for Highs ultimates both used. In the end, not the greatest idea to use a Morgana ult just on a Vlad, as it's not really going to do much. Tier 1 time catching back to lane, always nice.
And with that, just this little passage of play, they have extended the gold lead from 4k to 6k.
7K.
No, it's around 6k. 6.5k. Okay, yeah, we're both right.
Always nice when we can both be right. But yeah, this is like really, really disastrous for EVOS. As you saw there, it was 4v5 in the mid lane, and EVOS still didn't have any pressure. In fact, they were being pressured while Zeros just got to take the bot lane tower and have some fun.
Yeah, the worst thing about all how this game has played out is the itemization Bad1 had to go for. Because now the big power spike for Rumble, even though he has hit level 11, is not really there. Because usually you want your Rumble to hit level 11 and double penetration to deal almost true damage with one of the strongest damaging abilities in the game. But now, no penetration at all, has only build utility, only armor, and a little bit of, with the stasis effect, a little bit of tankiness as well. So he does actually not deal a whole lot of damage, even if the equalizer hits. And now GAM in a much stronger position to teamfight. They should probably look to contest the second Infernal Dragon. They don't have to. If they want to make a split push play, they can look for that as well, but they could definitely just collect the free Infernal Drake.
I don't even know if it'll be like contesting it. I think they'll just give it. I don't think EVOS can go near it if GAM wants it. I think they just get it for free.
Yeah, I'd agree. And that's not great for EVOS. They have built everything around the 20-minute dragon, around dragon and bot lane snowball, and now they'll have to give up a dragon. And it will not get better for them looking at the scaling. This should be their strongest point in the game, and they are already far behind in terms of power.
Yep, and I'm gonna steal a talking point from chat. Why are there two sets of Merc treads on EVOS? You're against Jason Aurelia.
Yeah.
Why do your Silas and Sejuani have Merc treads?
They're scared of Cocoon, I guess, but
Tabby would, you might get cocooned for, 0.1 of a second longer, but Tabby will do so much more.
It's a very valid criticism, and...
I don't understand that one. I'm going to say that I thought of it. I didn't steal it from chat at all.
I think overall the defensive boot choices for EVOS the solo laners are not great.
Caitlyn build!
That's an old one. That's an interesting Caitlyn build. We have not seen that.
Man, what are you doing?
It's max damage in team fights early on. I can kind of understand why he goes for this build.
But his team can't team fight.
But you have to. You have built a team fight composition. I know you can't team fight, but the game is over anyway. You have to hope for lucky crits probably and early crits.
Oh, but one. Zonya's under tower. Levi's here. Flashes out of the cocoon. Well done. But he's still in a lot of trouble. Buys time with that equalizer at least, so this tower shouldn't go down.
And Zero's just sunbathing in the equalizer. It's like, you don't deal any damage.
Oh, man. Not a good situation here for EVOS. Pretty disastrous, to say the least.
8K
think
now
I
at
said
20
that.
minutes, by the way. So the gold lead is growing and growing and growing. We have hit the flame horizon for Zeros, one of the earliest. I don't think he beat his own record at 17 minutes, if I remember correctly, against
Yeah, after
Hani, right? Yeah, it was against.
Yeah, he TP'd bot and got a triple kill at like
Man,
3
that was a
minutes
brutal game.
on Renekton against a Scion. So Hani basically just didn't have a lane anymore because he was just at that point he was basically just inting if he went near Zeros.
But I
So
think
that
this
wasn't much
this
fun.
Flame Horizon has been much more impressive for
This is much more
Zeros.
legit.
Yeah, because
There
he's
was like no triple pressure really. I mean there was, but not a huge amount.
yeah, he got a triple kill early. He was 2 levels ahead when he came back to lane, so there was nothing Sion could do anymore. This game, he just 1v1 but won and outlaned him in every margin imaginable. Like he controlled the minion waves very well in the early game. He set up early freezes to get CS advantages. He called Levi at the exact best moment to get the gank, and then the game was just over from top side on EVOS' side. So very, very good game from Zeros, even though it may not look as flashy as some of his earlier games. I think this has been one of his best
But one,
performances.
a lot of trouble again. Oh, but doesn't want to go on the tower, does Zeros. Uncharacteristic of him. Zeros backing off. Wow.
Strange to see. I think he's
Player
respecting the
growth.
Zhonya's.
Yeah, probably. But still, it's good to see, right? It's a good thing.
Yeah,
Zeros tempering
definitely.
his aggression.
I think he looks very, very good today.
Yeah, he looks super crispy today. This is some very clean Zeros.
And clean Zeros is not something we ever expect. We expect good Zeros, we expect stomping Zeros, but we never expect clean Zeros.
Yeah, exactly. Like, obviously, Zeros is an incredibly good player, but he's normally not particularly clean. Definitely is this game.
Yeah, and
Always.
we have hit a little bit of a little state because GAM can't
We
really
have.
push for Baron right now. They don't have the damage to go for Baron. No Mountain Drake either. Baron damage actually is not great on their team, especially if Zeros is sitting on the side lane. He's probably the member with the biggest DPS on Baron right now. So yeah, they have to slow down a little bit, but they are still extending their gold lead. It's now sitting at almost 10k at 23 minutes, so everything's still going to plan, and EVOS will not outscale them in any kind.
Nope.
So
Absolutely not. And I mean, Zeros is basically. Oh, Levi in a lot of trouble though. Burns the stopwatch. It's actually just a Zonya's, so that's fine to use. It's not a limited resource, so he will go down, which is nice for EVOS finding something. But they don't have the pressure to go for Baron off the back of it, even though they do have a Caitlyn. She takes Baron pretty quickly, but not quickly enough.
no, it's way too risky. If they go for Baron, they'll just get wiped. Zeros
Yeah. They
probably
can
is
get
enough.
missing control.
And this is actually a little bit of a problem now for GAM, that Zeros is not able to kill but one under turret. Maybe he has to adapt his build a little bit and go for a little bit more immediate burst damage to get the kill a little bit faster, because right now he's built for team fights, and he's not team fighting.
Yep. I mean, but he has. I mean, he could basically build whatever he wants at this point. He's at 300 CS.
Yeah, that's very true, but look at his item build and look at his health bar. He's sitting at 3k. He has 1k health more than Sorn on the other side, on the Sejuani. So he's actually a tank in teamfights right now. Maybe GAM should just force teamfights with the Zeros.
This could be that team fight, but EVOS isn't giving it to them. Just backs off. Xin TP'd in, but didn't really do anything.
Oh, GAM. It's running very fast towards the Baron pit.
I mean, if you want to force a fight, the Baron pit's the place to go. You can just threaten Baron. And EVOS kind of has to respond, because if you get Baron, then Zeros is going to go under tower.
Yeah, and you have Jace as well, so great siege.
Yeah.
Can they Baron right now? This is an interesting question. I think they can.
I think they just beat them to death with their wallets, right? Like, they're just so far ahead.
The problem is their turn is actually not that great without Zeros. They don't have great turn from Baron, and they don't have the best tank as well.
That's true. They don't have the best tank, and they don't have the Ocean Drake, which makes it pretty tricky. They do have Tom Kench, who can pull off some pretty funky things, like delivering an Irelia into the backlines.
Yeah,
Which is
but
always
Aurelia
fun.
is sitting in the sideline, right? She does not really want to
Yeah.
join them there. First, there are 5 pink wards in the inventory of EVOS aside, so they have enough pink wards to cover for the Baron. This is a little bit of
Ooh,
an...
Levi taking so much damage there. No one blocked that ace in the hole, and that's going to call the Baron off immediately.
Really don't like how Gum played this one out. Just force the enemies to come to you. Don't go off Baron yourself. Why did you call Baron in the first place if you want to play it like that? That was just a little bit of time wasted for Gum. Not the biggest fan of how they approached this one. They should just stay on Baron and force the enemy to come and try to stop Baron at 2k HP. Zorn comes in, tries to steal, you kill Zorn, and then you kill the Baron. Should be very easy to execute this one.
I think so, yeah.
And I actually
The one
think
thing
Zeros
to
can
do-
also just group with them around Baron. He's not getting anything in the sideline right now.
He's just catching farm, but the farm almost doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, no, it
He's
really
already
does
so
not.
far ahead that getting further ahead doesn't matter anything. So I feel like he just needs to group, use this team fight build that he's gone, and just flex. He's like, they're a 9k gold lead. Zeros is probably 4k of that at least.
Yeah, for sure.
So he actually does need to be grouped with them.
I actually like to see them put Zeros in the top lane. There's a free inhibitor, and but one cannot defend the inhibitor. He can defend the inhibitor turret, because it's too risky to dive him under turret, but he cannot defend the inhibitor. So I'd actually like to see them change up the laning allocation, but hold the thought, there might be fights.
Here comes the fight. Slay charging forward, but that's an equalizer in a lane. You don't want to fight into that. Zeros is here. He's alone in the back line. Has that Sterex popped and went into the to the Zonyas. Slay gobbles him up, trying to save him, but the turret's on him and he goes down in the end. Slay as well. Ace in the hole on him. He goes down. Didn't even pop the thick skin. Kiaya caught out too. Zin picks up one in the back line. Make that 2. He picks up Dimkin as well. Kiaya buying even more time, but can't find any kills. 3 for 2 in the end. And honestly, Gum lucky to even get the 2 they got. Levi could have overstayed here. He's got nowhere to cocoon to. He'll be caught out by Dia. And, ooh, he might be able to get away, and he does.
Had to flash in the end.
A lucky itsy bitsy spider, but Gum, don't know why they went for the fight like that. Zeros was left out to dry.
Yeah, they're a little bit frustrated with how the game has gone. They need to discipline themselves. We talked about them being very disciplined in the early game. Now finally we see some Zeros tendencies there. We had to see some, right? Giving away the 1,000 gold shutdown for absolutely no reason. The dive was just... Yeah, don't go for this dive. There's nothing you really get from this.
Your team can't back you up because there's an equalizer.
I mean, he almost one-shot Diffkit. If he got the one-shot on Diffkit, it would have been worth. But
was it?
Yeah, because he would have probably gotten out of there. But also don't quite understand why he went out of Slay this early. I think he could have stayed in this, Slay's belly a little longer and wait for Slay to take turret aggro to not die to the turret afterwards.
Here comes round 2 here. Slay's taking a lot of damage already. He's pretty much out of the fight. Equalizer's laid down. Nice angle there. Zeros has to walk across it, but in the end, the damage is just too much. Kiaya picks up 1. Zin picking up 1. And Zeros getting 1 as well. Dia 1 will be the next to fall. Levi getting that 1. So everyone's getting a little bit of fun here. And Kiaya is the hog to take the last killers. Oh my god. That is an intrusive graphic. But do you have the Coca-Cola energy to watch Gum win this game?
There it is. They finally win the game. It took them a little longer than it should have, but in the end it's still relatively clean. 1 overzealous teamfight. They adjusted their engage or what they wanted to look for in terms of team fighting, and then just won the next one. Very clean. Gum off to a great start in this last week of play, and they still want to get that first seed. This series is actually not that important for them, I have to say, because if they win against Flash, they'll get first seed anyway, so whatever happens today does not really matter for Gum, but they obviously want to come in with a 2-0.
Yeah, you want to win, you want to look good, and you want to practice. So, overall, good performance out of Gum. We saw, that 1 fumble, but in the end, they they were just a better team. So they pick up game 1. EVOS needs to go back to the drawing board because it really looked like it just didn't work. If you get it, I actually quite like the idea of picking a really strong bot lane to exploit that weakness of GAM, but you need to do more with it.
Yeah,
and also you can't just get slaughtered on the top side.
I also think Zin had a great game, especially later on.
Yeah.
We questioned the pick, and I still think the pick is not great, but he definitely played well on the Vladimir, and his last 2 team fights looked very strong. He knew what to do with the ult, he knew when to go for kills, when to stay in the on the backside and wait. I still don't really want to give the MVP over to him, even though his team fighting was great. I think the big advantage should be honored. That was created by mostly Zeros.
I think Zeros has to get MVP for his laning phase. He made the game before V5.
Yeah, the Zeros.
Even though Butt1 actually had some really nice ults. He did about everything he could do from that position. But yeah, Zeros has to get MVP.
Zeros was great this game, and I think this was probably the best single game we've seen so far from Zeros. In terms of just his performance, not how well he was set up, because there definitely were a few games earlier weeks where he got even greater leads, even greater advantages, 17-minute flame horizons. This time he did it all himself, and I think he definitely asserted dominance over the top lane this game.
Absolutely. But we're going to have to see what EVOS can do in Game 2 to see if they do have the Coca-Cola energy to bring it back to Game 3. I'm going to make that joke so many times, just so everyone's aware. Oh, man. But,
so new sponsor here. Not our sponsor, sadly. Only the official sponsor.
I wish. I mean, if look, Coca-Cola, if you're watching, I'll give you my address. Send me a crate. I've never heard of Coca-Cola Energy. I didn't know that was a thing. But I am drinking right now a bottle of normal Coca-Cola, so I'm a big fan, Coke.
Yeah, we'll be back in 6 minutes to see if GAM can clean up the series, or if EVOS can come back and keep their playoff hopes alive. They need to win the series to even have a chance to reach playoffs. If GAM closes this one out 2-0, playoffs is set. We have all 4 teams locked. Let's see what happens. Welcome back. A little bit of a pause, but we're here for game 2. Hopefully, no pause happening on the main stage. And what do we expect for the second game every day?
Well, I mean, we've got to think about what EVOS can do to potentially get back into it, because GAM doesn't need to change much, even though apparently they've changed their mid laner. So,
yeah. There's one spy from our Discord at this studio today, and he just told us that Kiaya is in fact not there anymore. And as we can see, Yoshino is playing mid lane this game. Maybe he goes for top lane as well. We never know with GAM's solo laners, right?
I mean, they basically have two top lanes, right? They don't have a mid lane. They just have top and bottom top.
Yeah, they have top, and a lane no one ever looks at. You have to field 5 players.
They have top. They have top, and then the map ends just under Dragon Pit.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep. And Zeros picks up that MVP.
Rightfully so.
Not unexpected.
We are in agreement there. The one death was a little bit unnecessary, but in the end was only one little blip, and everything else in the game was very well done from Zeros. His laning phase once again looked incredibly good, and I think he's the best top laner in terms of pure laning.
I agree.
His champion pool, I think, still is a little bit more shallow compared to Yoshino's, for example.
We've got to see him get pushed, though.
Yeah.
Teams just aren't trying to push him off his champion pool, but I mean, we can only judge him on what we've seen, and we have seen a little bit more out of Yoshino. And looking at the subs, we were correct. Our spy definitely had their sunglasses on, so they did spot the Yoshino coming in, but also No Way in.
Interesting.
A little bit unfair. I think DivKid did as well as he could.
Yeah, don't really understand why No Way is in. I guess they want to play Lucian, because Lucian is the specialty of No Way. He's played it 7 times already. Not like DivKid can't play Lucian, but I guess No Way is the more confident Lucian player.
Surely GAM just bans it.
And No Way also is the veteran player, right? So he brings a little bit more experience, maybe a little bit of shot calling as well. So we already see him talk a lot on stage. He just came in, so maybe not the worst thing to sub on the very experienced player with Bad1, Dia1, and Hai being very new players, and Zorn on his sophomore split with Dia1 as well. So everyone around him is kind of still a rookie, while he is a well-established player. So I like this choice, just looking at the experience.
Yeah, I think that's a very good point. It's always good to get a much more clear head that won't have the pressure to get to them quite as much. So obviously, this is do or die for EVOS. If they don't win this series, they don't make playoffs. So obviously, they need to win this game and take it to game 3.
And after the first game, this will be a very tall aura. Very interesting ban.
Yeah, but I mean, if mountains are there to climb them, so who knows? EVOS definitely won't be going down without a fight.
We'll hope so. Wow, Elise? What?
I mean, Fawn is good at it. Fawn likes the early game junglers. Maybe they think it would get first picked. It is interesting.
It's very surprising, considering you want to play around top lane with Elise, and the enemy has Zeros in their team, so I guess attacking top lane is a new interesting strategy against Zeros. He can int quite a little bit. If you look at the MSI performance, we saw some games where Zeros looked very weak. I think overall he has stepped up his performance, and in game 1 he looked very controlled. Not sure if they can attack him.
Well, I mean, I don't know if they're necessarily attacking him. I think they're getting rid of Aatrox and Renekton is almost it's just a duo purpose ban, because that is banning against Yoshino as well.
But it's interesting to see Aatrox and Renekton banned in the game Kiaya is not in, because those are Kiaya's champs.
Very true. And Nico finally returning to priority in the VCS here. Presumably that will be going to Tier 1, and Zeros still has the handy-dandy ninja in his back pocket, always ready to play that Akali. And the Irelia is locked in. GAM took about 10 seconds to think about that and then said, thanks, EVOS. no worries.
Akali Aurelia. When have you seen that before?
I think we've seen
Oh
it a few
man,
times.
those champs are still
Yeah.
there. They need nerfs.
They,
They need changes maybe. I'm not sure. They are pro play stables. I mean they're fun to watch, right? But seeing Akali
trust me.
Aurelia
I mean,
still this high in
it's a lot
priority.
better than Azir Corki. I'll take a Kali Aurelia over an Azir Corki any day of the week. At least, again, we've said this before. Azir and Corki, not so bad on their own, but when they're against each other.
Yeah, that's really when it's no Azir
Yep.
Corki at all in this game. We saw Azir ban last game, if I
I
remember
don't think so.
correctly.
I don't think they featured.
That's very
And
interesting.
it's Silas Ezreal and the answer by EVOS. That Silas, I'm hoping it goes in the jungle this game, because D1 did not have a good Silas moment. Really didn't do much of anything at all.
And Ezreal
And
for
no
no
way gets
way.
Ezreal.
So this is not a bot lane focused draft. They want to attack other lanes. Nico, if this is Nico top lane, they might try to play around. I think it's DR1's Nico. He has looked very good on Nico, so I think this one is
I don't think.
DR1's.
Yeah, and I don't think you really want to play around top lane when it's against an Akali. Are you ever killing Zeros on
Yeah,
Akali?
both matchups are not great for Nico. I think she wins lane top lane against Akali. She hard
Yeah.
loses lane to Aurelia top lane. And you can't really gank Akali, so I mean she wins by maybe 10 CS at 10 minutes, and then Akali has solo kill potential on Nico. That's not the greatest choice ever, especially for your first pick champion. You want to do a little bit more with your first pick.
Yeah, it is a very confusing one. And Tom Kench removed by Gum here, trying to deny the super safe lane of Ezreal and Tom. Not trying, they do successfully deny it. And Thresh removed as well.
Thresh is a
VCS
strange one.
loves ran. Yeah, I mean VCS loves their random Thresh bans.
Yeah, indeed. I actually like what GAM has done with their support priority a lot this game. They picked away Yuumi and then banned Tahm Kench, so the two best Ezreal lanes are gone. Ezreal Yuumi and Ezreal Tahm Kench probably the strongest. Oh, not the still not the greatest fan.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of this one. I think it made more sense last game when it helped their damage profile. They don't need it this time.
I think in terms of laning matchup, it makes more sense this game.
Yeah, that's true. But it is the Lee Sin. We saw Levi getting onto the Penta for his Lee Sin last week. It was a really sick play.
That was a great play.
It really was. Much better than the Penta. Like the Penta kill that made it onto the Penta, I should say.
Nice to see Police being represented there as well, but I think his first Penta was much more impressive, especially looking not only at his play, but at his team's play. But going back to this draft, Lee Sin against Rek'Sai, that's an old one. We have not seen too much Rek'Sai the last few weeks.
Yeah, she's fallen completely out of the meta. She got banned last game though, so.
And it's a good matchup into
maybe
Lee Sin traditionally, because she can very easily cancel his jump.
Oh god, I don't know about Alistair into a Yuumi. That's always dangerous.
Blocks
Get
this.
poked quite a lot.
Wait, they banned out Sivir and still pick Alistair? That's strange. That's very strange.
I don't think they wanted to pick Alistair. It was just what was left.
They have their damage is very low. No way has to pop off in this game, or EVOS has no damage.
Yeah, they just don't deal any consistent damage.
This is a very Korean draft, I have to say, for EVOS. Very conservative, very Ezreal focused, which is what we see from Korean teams a lot. But yeah, they don't have a lot of damage. If No Way falls behind, I don't think EVOS can win team fights.
Yeah, no. And I mean, to be fair, it's unlikely he falls behind, because we're talking about Gum and a bot lane. He should be able to go even, at the very least. But I don't think he'll be able to win over Xin particularly hard. I think Yuumi Vlad will be fine.
Yeah, Yuumi Vlad this time should definitely be in control of the lane. Maybe not push control, because Vlad is very bad at pushing early on.
Yeah.
But yeah, Alistair can not really do anything against either of those champs. Yuumi should, and Slay has been a very good Yuumi player, so should be aware when he can go out of the Vladimir or disattach, and when he has to stay in Vladimir to avoid all-ins.
Yeah.
What do you think of another game of Silas for DR1?
I don't like it.
Nope.
I think he looked really bad in game 1. I just don't think he looked good at all, and he has to go up against Yoshino on Irelia. Have fun. Yoshino's really good at Irelia.
Still don't really understand why Yoshino is in.
I don't either.
Strange. I still think they'll give him more games to play, so he does not have to feel bad for being one of the best top laners and not seeing any play.
Sure, they also want to keep him like shaking off the rust because I imagine they actually do want him to be the sub for like worlds and playoffs and stuff. So,
But apparently the mid lane sub, which is surprising because I think Kiaya has performed very well. I don't think you should ever sub in Yoshino for Kiaya in the mid lane. Maybe if you want to go for Kiana, right? Kiana was a specialty, and he looked very good on the Kiana.
I've said this before, and I'll say it again. I think part of the reason, and it's just speculation, part of the reason is in Zeros. The team was built to be Zeros and Levi's show, so you can't sub out Zeros.
Yep.
Part of the reality.
Zeros will play mid lane this game.
Yep, they want to send Irelia against Nico. It makes sense, right?
Yeah, definitely. This is a great matchup. So now Yoshino can show us what he got for top lane. Last time Kiaya was subbed in, he played top lane with Aatrox and murdered the enemy top laner. He went 5-1 or something, 5-0 in the laning phase on Aatrox.
It was something
chaining solo kill on solo kill. It was absurd. Kiaya looked very good on the Aatrox. And Aatrox is his best champ. It's very interesting how there are different champs for the 3 top laners. What did Yoshino just do?
Start by Yoshino.
What was that?
I don't know why you would just walk at a Nico. Like, you can see the press the attack, right? You know that 3-hit combo is going to really hurt.
That was strange.
That was not the brightest decision.
He traded back with his utilizing his early pot. But look at how BO3 utilizes his clone, and very nicely done. Yoshino went into the second brush, and BO3 could have not gotten the stack of the attack, press the attack, but he used his clone to get vision and got the stack anyway. Nicely done from BO3.
Yep. Very, very true. But good to see out of him. BO3 has been a little bit disappointing, at least in my eyes. So it's good to see him performing a little bit better. There's this early bot lane. We were saying that maybe they won't be able to push in, but apparently
they are.
EVOS does nothing to stop them, then yeah, they can.
Yeah, and Zeros in the mid lane against Ignite Silas. Has to be careful. The matchup Akali Silas we've seen a lot in the mid lane. Usually Silas wins short trades against Akali, I'd say, and Akali wins the really extended trades. It's very much a skills matchup. Whoever is the better player on the champion most of the time wins.
Sorn looking for a knockup. There flashes in. There goes the E. DR1 comes in. Sorn gets first blood. Zeros, my god, he just vanished.
No flash from Zeros.
I
Interesting.
don't think he didn't have much time.
I think he could have anticipated the flash knockup from Sorn. Was a very obvious play pattern there. I think he could have flashed away. But yeah, this way he still holds on his flash and should be fine in terms of next ganks. But first blood going over to the Rek'Sai. Good sign for EVOS. Already off to much better start than in the last game.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely showing signs of life, and it looks like they do want to go straight back in onto Zeros. Sorn hanging around. Might have just been looking for the potential counter gank if Levi had wanted to come help their star out. But no, Zeros gets caught by the E and has to use his flash. Not looking too clean. We were talking about the clean Zeros, the truly a mythical beast, last game.
Yeah,
it appears that he's left us.
You can see that he's not familiar with mid laning, because that was a very basic mid lane position mistake there. Going towards the top side, he had absolutely no reason to go towards the top side there. Just getting caught out. Yep. He saw DR1 going into the top brush. Why would you ever go towards the top side if you don't know where the enemy jungler is? That does not make a whole lot of sense. That was a laning mistake, being not too familiar with the mid lane. So Zeros looking a little rusty in the mid lane. as we have a little bit of a pause, sadly, and they're drinking the new sponsored drink, so that's good to see.
Apparently, it's a thing. I've never heard of it before now, but apparently it's a thing in Australia. So maybe for tomorrow, I'll have to go out and see if I can get a can of it. We'll try out the new sponsor.
I mean,
Of course,
I have to say I absolutely hate energy drinks, so I'll not try it.
I like V. That's the only energy drink I like. But I'd much rather just have coffee.
Yeah, same.
If I need like
Right.
caffeine, I'll just make a coffee. Like I have a kettle, so it's okay.
Yeah, I'd agree. Coffee is nice, but energy drinks are strange, and the taste is disgusting, in my opinion. Very sweet,
I mean,
very intense.
I don't know if you've been to. I don't know because obviously Vietnam isn't quite. It is part of Southeast Asia, but I'm more thinking of like Thailand and stuff. I don't know if you've been to that part of the world.
Nope.
But they have. I have, right? Because obviously Australia and Indonesia are actually really close to each other geographically. I went to Bali a few times, which I mean, that's where Australians go. So many Australians in Bali, but they've got this Red Bull. Like, because I've had normal Red Bull, I don't like it very much. I don't, as you said, I don't particularly like energy drinks. I'm on board with that, but they've got this one kind of Red Bull that's like a syrup, and it's disgusting. But I have never felt more wired
Okay.
for like 6 hours afterwards.
So at least it does what it's there for. I mean, that's
exactly
nice.
what it says it does. It is like this syrup of pure sugar and guarana or whatever is in it. And I'm pretty sure it's illegal everywhere else because I've never seen it.
I can imagine that.
Oh, man.
When I lived in Japan, I sometimes went for the little vitamin C drinks, which had like 200% of your daily doses of vitamin C in like 100 millimeters. Insanely sour, but super great to get like to get a head start into the day. Like,
Nice. Just got to like make you feel good in the morning.
yeah,
Always
it's
good.
really refreshing and awakening. Is that a word?
Yeah, like invigorating.
Invigorating.
Probably.
Yeah. That's
Probably the best word for it. We are still just in this pause, so if you're in chat, tell us your favorite drink.
Absolutely. Go ahead.
Feel free to have some fun. We've got nothing better to do in the pause. I went to Belgium last year.
So this is going to be about beer.
Yeah, well, it actually is about beer. But I went to Bruges. I mean, you're a tourist in Belgium. Everyone goes to Bruges, right? And I spent like, I think it was like €13 or something. And it got me like 5 pints of like different beers to try. I was like, wow, that's cheap.
Wait.
And like my dad left me for like I was on a family holiday, and he left me for all of 35 minutes, and he came back and I'd had 5 pints.
Oh.
And he was just like, "You are an absolute tosser."
I have to admit, even though I live very close to Belgium, I've never been to Belgium.
It's a lovely place. Like I've done. I was doing a World War I tour trip, history trip. But,
well, that's interesting. That's very interesting.
Yeah,
I'd like to see that.
Yeah, because I had a great uncle or something that died at the Somme, so it was the 100-year anniversary. So we went to France and Belgium.
Okay.
It was a good time. But we are back in the game. Much more interesting battle going on than just people running into machine gun fire.
Very true. For 4 years, nonetheless.
Yeah, for 4 years on both sides, just running into machine guns for no reason.
Kind of like what will happen to Bud 1 later on in this game, probably, because he's playing Nico into earlier. Not great.
That's a grim picture. But Yoshino might have overextended here. He takes a lot of damage, but uses that W. But he goes down to the 3-hit passive. But what
Team
Pardon
Kiaya.
me, sorry.
Team Kiaya.
Kiaya, wave your
What was
Kiaya flag.
that?
That was not good out of Yoshino. And Zeros in a lot of trouble as well. Gets ignited. He
Oh.
won't die. No.
Wow, that was close.
Woo! Spicy.
So I guess Gum's top side turned off their PCs and told Zin, okay, you're in the team now for a lot of weeks. You have a 80% win rate. You have to carry this game now. And Zin is like, wait, that's not what I came for.
And Yoshino goes down again. This time he was ganked. This is not looking good. Definitely raise your Kiayas in chat. Because Yoshino not having his best game so far.
No,
Let's see the start of that play again.
Couldn't really do anything about this death, but the death before was strange. It was.
Why didn't he just flawless duet along the bush instead of trying to get a really?
Why did he even go into the bush with 200 HP? There was
a lot of questions.
A play. He even has flash available still, so he could have flashed away from the end of the play there.
Yep.
They really wanted to make the kill happen, and I guess they got the kill on Levi, but at the cost of a kill and now a repeat gank on Yoshino. So not great for the top laner. This is up to bot and jungle to carry for GAM, which is a pretty unusual thing to say.
Yeah, I mean, even ignoring the fact that it's GAM and they obviously never have a bot lane carry, but it's difficult to carry for Zin on this Vlad, at least not for a little while, because obviously he's playing Vlad. And look how far back Yoshino has to play. He's terrified.
I mean, in the late game, I think Zin definitely can carry this one.
Oh, in the late game, absolutely, but he has to get to the late game.
Yeah, that's Vladimir for you, right? Can be a strong champion on 2 items in the right setup, but most of the time you want 3 or even 4 to carry the team fights. So it might be a little bit of a later game for GAM. Usually their games are... Now, they're actually not that quick, even though they get off to the best early game lead. They're not that great at closing out games. Their average game time is 1 minute longer than EVOS's game time, but you have to think about also the longest game they have played, 65 minutes. So that's not great for the average, right?
That was a bit of a marathon, and Zin does get a turret plate down in the bot lane. That's nice for him. Has a very small CS lead and getting that tower plate as well. It's always nice, but we did just see in the mid there how these trades are going for Zeros, and I bet he's wishing he was up in the top lane again.
Yeah, it's Akali against Salis. Short trades, as I said, go in Salis' favor, and with this particular rune choice, I don't even think Zeros wins long trades, because he didn't go for the Conqueror. Very defensive rune choice for Zeros, very lane-oriented.
Yep. I think he just loses the 1v1, just pretty hard, which is not great for him and his playstyle. Ooh, Levi is spotted out here. There should be no potential for an actual engage, because obviously...
I think laning-wise, this champ is actually the only one we have seen Zeros lose lane with.
Yeah.
Akali, he has lost lane on Akali against Rika even, so...
Wow, that's truly a condemnation of the pick. I mean,
yep.
It is, right? Like, Zeros should not be losing lane to Rika. It's just a much better mechanic.
To be fair to him, Rika had a good champ. I think it was Poppy even, so at least it was good Rika, not normal Rika, which is not so good Rika.
I got to think of like names like caps and craps for that. Oh, Levi in a lot of trouble. The flash knock up there, high coming in to steal away. Oh, but yep, that is. Yeah, that's not ideal. Alistair getting the kill, but at least they do get a kill at all.
Yeah, nice read. And Levi had absolutely nothing to do there. He was caught out by Zorn, a double knock-up high and Zorn. Couldn't do anything.
There was nothing he could do there. He was just completely caught. Tremor sense, OP, so they knew exactly where he was. And now the dive is going to try and come in on butt 1, but that ult hits. I don't think Yoshino has enough health for this now.
And not enough minions.
Zeros is just taking the wave. Zeros is just saying, oh, Yoshino, you're going to get hit and make me waste my time? Well, I'm going to take 6 minions.
Yep, exactly. So now they wasted a minion wave in mid lane. No one caught that one. Now the back half of the minion wave gets cleared out by Levi. But in the end, good response from about one, focusing on clearing out the minion wave, so there was no dive opportunity. Nicely played. Ooh, Levi has to invest this. Ooh, that's actually big. Levi loses his ult once again, so now on an 80-second cooldown, roughly, before the next play can come in.
Yeah, exactly. Levi really not having too much of an impact so far this game. Has picked up 1 kill, but that's all. And we don't have a situation where GAM lanes are absolutely dominating. Zeros has a slight lead in CS, but But1 is winning in the top lane, which shouldn't happen. It is Nico into Irelia, but obviously it helps when Nico got a very accelerated start because Yoshino walked in a bush and ate the 3-hit combo, which basically lost him the lane in just 1 move, as well as dying twice.
Now they swapped lanes, which is even more interesting because they actually swapped lanes to get Yoshino the better matchup in the top lane, and now he lost top lane hard, so he has to go to the mid lane and might be caught out once again. No,
yeah, and
fine.
he's taking a lot of damage, but I don't think there's potential for a kill.
Another ult from But1, and
Yep.
this time they
Oh,
might.
and here comes Zeros, throws himself forward here. Thorn has to run, but will get slowed by the cat. Kill for Zeros.
Big shutdown to
Good.
Zeros, but Yoshino in the meantime will
Yoshino,
probably go
though,
down.
has to flash. No, he won't go down. He'll be okay.
Yep.
He won't burn.
I thought
But,
that was still.
But1 could be in trouble. The last chapter was used. He tempted fate there and gets picked up by Levi. I'm not actually sure what finished him off there, but something certainly did. Now, can High keep them rounded up and try and push them back towards the tower? But no, he's in trouble now. He gets kicked. There's a Q on him. Zin needs to be the one doing the damage, along with his Yumi. High is in a lot of trouble, but D has arrived now.
Oh
And
no,
the Vladimir ult gets
EVOS.
the kill. Dia, oh no! Zeros gets another one, and Gum successfully catches the throw from EVOS straight into the glove. He's out. Get off
Yeah,
the field.
GAM went back to their chaos style because in the first game they looked very coordinated, had a very good setup, and played around their strength very effectively. But this game they went back to, okay, we have fallen behind. Let's just go for mindless team fights. We'll win them. We have better mechanics, and I mean it's true, right? They won the team fight and are now back in the league.
They do have better mechanics. Yep, and they might. Yeah, they lost a fair bit of gold in the mid lane just because of the Rift Herald summon, but in the end, you still come out on top if you're a GAM fan.
Oh,
very good
Zeros.
today. Oh, Zeros. Not sure what throwing down that shroud was ever going to do.
The auto attack was really bad, but yeah, whatever. He loses 90 gold. But let's look at this fight again. High. Not sure what he tried to accomplish there on.
I don't know. I think he wanted to try and headbutt them back into the tower.
Look at Yulwei, by the way. He's too scared to enter the fight. They think they have 4 members there on EVOS side, or at least 3, but Yulwei is not really in the fight at any point. So in the end, it's a 4v2 dive, while Yulwei dances around the fight and cannot deal any damage, looking very weak on the Ezreal.
He's wearing the right Ezreal skin for it, right? He's got the tux on. He can hit the dance floor.
Sadly, nothing else, it looks like.
But yeah, exactly. People in tuxes apparently not too useful.
Sometimes.
Well. Yeah, no way not looking much better than Div Kid in this one. So, still got to question why he was subbed in. But EVOS has their reasoning, I'm sure. Yoshino could be caught here, does get tagged by the Rex IQ. The ult is used, so he's now got dived on Levi, not too far away, but I think Levi will just say, sorry, mate, you're gone.
Levi is not interested to enter the bouncy castle again. He had his time already this game, so he's like, no.
Yeah.
Rex and Alistair together, no, get me out of there. I don't want to go there again.
Levi's already put his shoes on and had some birthday cake, so he doesn't want to go on the bouncy house.
Yeah.
Zeros gets a little bit caught out here, but he should be okay. Sword will be the one going down because of that Yumi ult. Slay playing this one really risky. He was alone for a long time, but doesn't matter. The cat has been picked up now. Dia1 trying to turn something around, getting the heal, but Slay, in the end, lives up to his name, taking down the enemy mid laner.
Yep. And now the game might just fall more and more in GAM's favor because they've weathered the storm. They are now in the lead and seem to be able to find the kills. First turret will go over to GAM as well in the mid lane, and then Xin is working on the top lane turret as well, so even more gold injected. EVOS had some minutes, but now looks like GAM. Oh, please, local gold. Okay, he got it.
He got it. Yeah. He got it.
Was close though. Almost missed out on the local gold.
Don't do that, guys. Don't walk away from towers too early. It's very silly. Zeros takes a little bit of damage, but he goes forward onto Yulwei. Yulwei, it gets over that wall, though. Are they in some trouble? High should be able to go down. Ooh, Sorn missing the knock-up. He's in a lot of trouble now.
Sorn.
Alt tries to get damage down, but... Ooh, very, very close. But in the end, it's okay. Zeros now goes down. Out comes the final chapter. The cat is desperately looking for a home. Someone save this kitten! And no, Levi's too late. They've put the cat down. Families are shattered.
I know how Slay felt when Zeros went for the play. He's like, oh god, I'm gonna die. I'm gonna die. I hate this player. Why does he kill me?
Like the dog in the burning building. This is fine.
This is fine. We get kills. This is fine.
Yeah. Oh no, this is
Poor
fine.
cat. Poor cat.
Smiley face. Oh man.
I can tell you,
I mean,
he knew when Zeros went in, he would die at the end of the play. He knew.
He very nearly lived as well. Another half second, he was safe. He was in the loving arms of Lee Sin.
Yeah.
Lee Sin would be a good cat owner, I think.
He has the seal available. Was the seal on cooldown there? Or was that just Slay saying, okay, I'm gonna die anyway?
I think it was, I'm gonna die anyway.
Oh, that's sad. He could have actually lived if he used the heal.
Maybe. Yeah, we'd have to see a replay to see if it was up. I'm almost certain it was.
But yeah, Zero's going back to his over-aggressive tendencies. In the end, he still got kills, which is probably still in his favor, because he's Akali. So trading 1-for-1 as an Akali is most of the time is worth it, because you get more kill pressure later on.
Yeah, absolutely. He might be in a bit of trouble here, because that's a very busy bush. The bounce house again. Zeros just can't get enough. He's having so much fun in the bouncy house. Rek'Sai ult will finish him off. Xin and his cat are here. Bit of an odd couple.
I've actually liked this bot lane a lot more than I anticipated I would. I think they looked very strong on the bot lane together, and this combination of Lat Yumi might be something they want to go back to in later games. Wait, Zeros once again.
Oh, Xin gets caught out. The bounce house strikes again, but this time the Vladimir should be able to get some healing from his ult. The final chapter as well does so much. Xin picking up that first kill off the Dragon's Rage out of Levi. Sorn now in some trouble. Yoshino wants to clean him up. Gets knocked up, but he should be alright. High on the other side of the fight also goes down. EVOS went one bridge too far.
Yeah, and now 3k gold lead. Zeros wants to go for another solo kill, because he's...
Zeros never stops.
Nope.
When he gets caught out, he flashes over the wall, following But1, and But1 will go down before the ult even's used. Zeros with the emotes as well. He's annoyed that he's died at all this game.
Oh, that's a cute flash from that But1. It's like, I'll flash over the wall and I'll be safe. Zeros like, you don't seriously think that's the case, right?
You can do, I can do better.
Yeah, now he's in a 5-3-2 Akali, very menacing. He's picked up all the important kills, and even if he goes down to a little bit of bouncy house action, what does it really matter? He still wins the side lane. Can't beat him on 1v1. This looks like a little bit of a stomp now for the rest of the game for GAM. They struggled in the early game, but found their way back into the game very quickly. And now look at Levi. Levi wants to go for kills as well.
Yep, they want to get another kill. It is But1 coming into lane. He thinks he's nice and safe.
Poor guy.
There's no monk in the bush. There is no monk in the bush. Oh, God, Levi.
What was that?
Oh, that didn't work. That did not work out. Turns out there wasn't a monk in the bush. There was a monkey in the bush.
Apparently that's the case. And Levi is very desperate for MVPs. He wants to go. Wants to be the first on MVP, and has not gotten the first MVP because he was not great in the first game. He was okay in the first game. Zeros won that one on his own. Don't think he's a front runner for the second game actually. So not looking too hot for his MVP chances.
Yeah, I mean, in the end, the person tied with him at the moment is actually Sorn, and I don't think Sorn's picking up any MVPs here either. So
I think
at least
there's
he's not.
Optimus is tied with them as well at 700. So
Oh, is he? Okay, I must have misread the chart, but still, no, not a great time. Zeros, you just need to walk into the tower a few times. Just get your deaths up so that Sorn's the clear. Sorry, Levi is the clear MVP.
do you think Levi Zeros is the MVP of this game right now?
I mean, on the main broadcast, he's got 5 kills.
Yeah, okay, on the main broadcast maybe. I actually think this game is one of the best games for Yumi to get an MVP because Slay has looked great.
I was going to say Slay.
Yeah, and I'm a big fan of Slay. He's such a good support player. Rule swap from ADC, and he seems to still know how to win lane while still being great on the support champs. And the enchanters have been his strong suit probably with Lux and Yumi.
Zeros trying to go on the tower there. He's just having fun.
The classic Lee Sin move.
Completely unnecessary.
Yeah. That's what Lee Sin does all the time in Aram when he does not want to go all in, but he still wants to use his jumps, so he just goes QW, QW, QW.
Yeah, you look so cool doing it. You look like you've got like sick mechanics, even though it's ridiculously easy.
Yeah, that's very true.
It looks hard. This is the Infernal Drake Sporting, first one that has come up, so both teams look like they want it. EVOS, are they really going to try and contest this one? It's very risky, but it may well just be what they need if they can win it. Drake's down to 2,500 health. They need to go if they're going to go. The Irelia ult has been stolen by Sylas.
They need to win teamfights right now. They don't scale into the late game as good as Scum does.
Though, it starts off well. Yoshino goes down. Levi takes a lot of damage, as does Slay. Xin has to be on the retreat as well. And EVOS is going to be able to pick this one up. They come out better. It was a good engage. They got the bounces.
Yep. EVOS wins the teamfight quite decisively, and even though they're still 4k gold down, if they are able to win 2 more teamfights maybe, they could get the game back into their control. Not sure if they have big chances of winning the game actually, because looking at their scaling, it's not great compared to GAM's, and they are already behind by 4k. Even if they're able to equalize the gold lead, they still have to equalize the scaling advantage.
No way flashed. He's terrified.
Yeah, it's a very strong Yumi and a Lee Sin chasing after him. So.
That is no house cat. That is a proud king of the jungle. My God.
Yeah, it's a Yumi against EVOS, so playing a cat into a tiger team. Doesn't sound like something we want to do, but apparently the cat is stronger than the tiger today.
Yeah, definitely not one of the lions from the new Lion King remake. Much scarier than that. God, that movie sucks. But anyway, it's really bad. Disney remakes, don't see them. Stop giving them money, and they'll stop doing them. But yeah, I mean, obviously that was a bit of a blunder from GAM. That was very well done out of EVOS as well. They saw the grouping up as the engage came in and executed their comp very, very well. So, have to see if they can do it again. It's not going to be easy because I think GAM just gets stronger and stronger as the game goes.
And I still don't really understand why they would send Zeros into the Nico matchup. Maybe they're still scared of Yoshino inting away at the Nico, but it should win the 1-1 right now, even though Nico is sitting on almost 2 items, but it's still Irelia into Nico, a very good matchup.
You would definitely hope so. It would not be good at all.
Yeah, the split pushing from GAM in both games so far has been a little bit not well thought out, I would say. Because they're sending two players in the side lane, but they are not actually gaining anything. They don't pressure turrets. They just farm the waves, and the enemy team is very happy.
They are going to start Baron. And they instantly spotted out by the blue trinket.
Oh, look at the speed. My God, they don't deal any damage.
Yeah, GAM must be pretty annoyed that the VCS Dragon has not been spawning for them this series.
That was a very low damage Baron attempt.
That was going to take so long.
Yeah, I think two players are not enough right now, especially if you don't have a traditional IDC who does not get the Baron debuff. Yoshino and Levi both got the Baron debuff and didn't deal a whole lot of damage to him. I think they took almost 10 seconds to get 2k HP off the Baron, so probably
It's
not
a
the
bad
greatest
time.
call.
Nope. But I mean, I think pressuring around it is a good call, but actually starting it, it's going to take you a couple of years to finish it, so probably not worth the time investment.
Yeah, I don't really think GAM has to do a whole lot right now. As I said before, they outscale pretty heavily. So just get Xin another item, a few more levels, and then try to look for teamfights around any objective you can find. There's no priority dragon coming up either, so you don't have to fight for Cloud. You can just wait for maybe 7, 8 more minutes, get 2 more items on your Vladimir, and just let Vladimir carry the teamfights, which, yeah, there's not a whole lot EVOS can do against the Vladimir in the late game.
Yep.
Still not quite sure what the Alistair pick was for. I think we've seen some very great picks with Bouncy House, a combination of Rexa and Alistair, but it's still a little bit puzzling because they lost lane very hard.
I mean, they did lose lane pretty hard, but I mean, in the end, Yulwei's actually come back pretty well. He's 50 CS up now, so maybe it hasn't mattered in the long run. And the Alistair and the Rek'Sai combo together super well, so they're happy enough. I'm not sure either, though. It's definitely a very strange decision.
And we're in a lull state in a GAM game. That's not something I was supposed to say today.
Very strange.
But yeah, as I said, GAM is very happy with just scaling up. I don't think the players will be too happy with this playstyle, though, and most of the time, once GAM gets bored of the game state, they just force teamfights. So we might be in for a few teamfights in a few minutes, maybe 3 more minutes. I'll give them 3 more minutes where they are patiently playing around what they have to play around. Yeah.
Yeah, it makes sense. Then we have to sort of think, what will EVOS eventually bite for? I think that's going to be the question. I think they can look at GAM's Baron damage and say, I don't know if they're really going to go for that one. So they don't have to fall for that too hard. But where does the baited hook eventually lead? Because GAM wants to fight,
But
EVOS doesn't.
Let's think about how EVOS wins this game. We have to craft a way how EVOS wins this game. It looks very unlikely, even if nothing is happening right now. Scaling advantage very heavily in favor of GAM. They are in a gold lead as well. So how does EVOS come back from this particular situation? They have a top lane split pusher that is not really winning 1v2s.
No, I mean, I don't even think But1 doesn't win the 1v1 against Zeros.
Yeah. It's hard to see how EVOS can win this game. It's a little bit...
It involves throws from GAM.
Yeah, it has to. Maybe a Baron steal into an inhibitor immediately afterwards, and then they can use their gold to get a big advantage in the side lane matchup. I'm not quite sure which side lane matchup that would be, but
the one thing that could also happen is in a team fight, it's actually quite likely that GAM might all go on the same target, except for Xin, and can get 2 4-man knockups, and that can be enough time for a lot of damage to come down. But I think GAM knows that too. So
yeah, with 80 Nico, they really lack AoE
damage.
Here
comes Zeros though. He's going to throw himself in here. He really wants his kill on But1, and it was not clean, but he does rip the man's head off. Now the TP is coming in top. Oh, Xin nearly dead as we go up there. My word, he was on absolutely no health. Tier1 had sorted him out, but now he's in trouble. Here's Levi. High, trying to buy as much space as he can, but the kick still goes off. Tier1 goes down. Last chapter being read. The bedtime story's not quite good enough, though, and the cow will walk away.
Yeah, and as I said, I don't think GAM is patient enough to wait 10 more minutes, so I gave them 3 minutes. It was 2.5 minutes until they wanted to fight, so prediction was very easy to do because GAM always wants to fight, and now they are on top of Baron. They still have absolutely no Baron damage, and as you can see, the Baron takes a lot of time. This will actually... Ooh, okay, they get vision. I thought this would actually help them secure the Baron, because Sorn would have probably anticipated that the Baron will go down faster. They're so scared of the steal. Man.
Yeah, I mean, considering how slow the Baron goes down, the respawns were coming in.
Yeah, that's true.
No Mountain Drake is making a huge impact this game.
Baron is actually not a good play pattern for Gum this game. Should have
You
gone
can't.
for an immediate top lane push, I think.
I agree. And no, Sorn's in a lot of trouble though. Does get the flash though, so he should be all right. Swim, land shark, swim! And oh no, the slow land. Sorn, he digs away again, but another bedtime story comes out, and it must be a good one because he's gone to sleep forever.
Now, but one in a
Now,
lot of trouble as well, and
But1
Zeros is here. Zeros with ult available.
Yep, they're going to go under. Oh, But1 and does go down. Yoshino will get that one. No way will be the next one on the chopping block. This performance out of Slay has been absolutely ridiculous. He set this entire thing up. Yoshino now in a lot of trouble, but he goes into the Zonyas. Levi will go into the Guardian Angel as well. They're all very, very low here. Yoshino running away now, and it is actually the kill being picked up onto Levi on the backside. Well done, D1. In-him tower goes down. Does EVOS want to try and get a re-engage? Slay is still throwing forward those prowling projectiles. Definitely on the hunt as the inhib goes down.
Yeah, and they break the base without Baron, with it, which is the best thing that could
goes
happen.
forward though. He wants this. Taking a lot of damage, but the heals out of Slay are good as well as that fleet footwork. And Slay will pick the kill up. Zeros has to run. Has to try and be the slippery ninja, but he gets hit by the Q. Good Zonyas, though, to avoid the initial Rek'Sai damage. Can they clean him up in time? His team is here to help him out, and with the E, he gets away.
That was double stopwatch, right?
Lose one. I think so, yeah.
Yeah, that was insanely long time.
Yeah,
He was untargetable there. Yeah, double stopwatch. Very nice little interaction. You can do that once a game, and I think Zeros picked the perfect time to go for this play. It's very nicely named rune as well. Perfect timing. So aptly named there.
Yeah.
And now GAM has finally broken the inhibitor line. They can go back to Baron if they want. They can just group a bot lane as well. I don't think the wave clear will be enough.
Baron just takes too long. I really think they just need to push a lane. Just force a team fight. Like, you just win. You have a Vlad as well. Like, Zin really didn't do much in that last fight. I mean, he didn't need to, but I'd love to see how he got so low initially, because that was sort of what started the fight.
Yeah, I think he was picked on the top lane by a few players, got out of there, and then everyone from GAM came and collapsed from all the sides. That was the initial teamfight victory. We had 3 straight minutes of team fighting, so a lot to think about what actually happened. I think the biggest blunder was the mid lane positioning from Sorn and from But1 to overextend in the mid lane to prolong the fight. That actually gave GAM the opening to push the inhibitor. So yeah, I think EVOS should have just sacrificed Sorn. Maybe not even flash, because he needs the flash engage on Sorn. And only one kill would have not been enough to pick.
Another engage, potentially. Hai and Dia are very far forward. There goes another prowling projectile. And oh my god, on the other side of the screen, down goes Yulwei. Down goes Sorn. Zin in the front line, but he manages to go into that pool. And it will be But1 going down as well. Slay's gone down on the backside. Levi on an absolute sliver of health. He'll get cleaned up. 2 for 2 so far. But there should be more for GAM. Zin and Zeros. And it was actually 3 for 2. I tell a lie.
And Yoshino is not interested in continuing the fight. He wants to finish the game, as you can see. He's already entered the base with a win. Is there a minion? Yeah, there's a minion wave. So
there's a minion wave. He has a super minion. He has 2 minions. Zin is going to teleport in. Zeros just needs to stay here to stop bees. And he just says, oh, you can try and kill me, Dia. It doesn't really matter. We'll kill your base. And Dia does ruin his KDA, but GAM ruins their season.
Yep.
They will take the win under that
Look at Slay. Look at how bored Slay is.
He was bored as all hell.
Oh,
Even though he had a ridiculous performance. That Yumi game was so good.
He died right at the start of the team, but not quite sure how he died there. Probably tried to disattach and then got caught for once, because usually he was very good at the timing with the W. This time got caught, but this team still cleaned up the team fight. Very strong 2v2 from 2v3 even from Zeros and Yoshino to get 2 kills on the other side of the fight. And Zin took a little while to kill everyone on the top side, but in the end, GAM still won. Zin very happy as well. Very good to see, and EVOS has to be very regretful today because
Yeah.
they just lost their playoff chances. To be fair to them, they probably lost the playoff chances once they lost the second best of 3 against DBL, realistically, because DBL plays the two bottom teams this week. So it was already very unlikely that EVOS would reach playoffs, but now they're locked out of playoffs. They don't have world chances, and they have to go back to the drawing board, look at 2020. How can they improve their team?
Yeah, see if they need to figure out if they've got that 2020 vision, because that's what they need to be looking forward to. That is pretty much all that matters for EVOS now. That's the end of their season, really. They have another match to play, but it doesn't really matter. But we do have another match today, so hopefully that one is a little bit closer. This was a pretty one-sided one.
It's very painful for EVOS because they play the very last match of this regular season against Cerberus. It will not matter at all. Will be on Sunday afternoon.
They have
so. Yeah, hopefully we'll see some interesting troll picks. It might matter for Cerberus though if they're able to win against DBL, which I mean looks possible looking at DBL's recent performances.
Ooh, he gets a box. It's in the box.
Yeah, I want to see probably more energy drinks, right?
Does he get some free energy drinks? That's cool. Why not? Something to drink on the bus ride home or however they get home.
Slay needs to work on his mimic because he looks very bored all the time.
Yeah.
What's going on there? Look more enthusiastic.
You just won a series, mate. Get up. You had a great performance. I mean, I want to give Slay MVP for that last game. His Yumi was sick.
Yeah, let's give it to him. I think Zeros had a very good second half of the game. Zin also with a very good performance. You could give it to Zin, but I actually didn't really like how they... I mean, it was probably not on him, but he lost 100 CS to the enemy ADC after being ahead in laning phase, which is a little bit surprising. Probably lane allocations from GAM would need to go back to watch what they actually did with the lane allocations there. Interesting case study. But yeah, I think Slay overall, especially in the early game, dominated the team fights and was everywhere on the map. 2-1 and 9, 11 kill participations when there were only like 15 kills in the game.
Yeah.
Locking down his third MVP on our stream.
Yeah, he's a very good support. He's transitioning away from that Lux, because obviously Lux not as good as she was, and playing Yumi just as well.
Yep, and I think there's not a whole lot more to say. GAM looking very strong, especially in Game 1. I think their Game 1 was one of the best games that we have seen so far from GAM, very controlled from start to finish, looking like the better team, strong laners. Game 2 was a little bit more what we expect from GAM, scrappy team fighting, where they win all the team fights and end the game, because they are the better players. Good to see them evolve a little bit and work on their macro and their mid-game decision-making. And still looking like the strongest team here in the VCS. They will face Flash later this week. According to my schedule, it's on Saturday. Let's check that one again. We just saw a chat say it's on Sunday. No, it's on Saturday. Second match on Saturday. That will be the highlight of the week. Game for the series for first place.
Yeah, that'll be a super good game. Really, a lot of pride goes into coming first in the league, so you can guarantee both teams want it.
Yep, and that's it for us on this first series. We'll be back in 1 hour and 10 minutes roughly for the second series, Cerberus against DBL. Cerberus needs to win every single game to have a chance of not having to go to relegations. If they will lose one game, they are locked in relegations. It's not even a series, it's one game, because their game score is very bad. So let's see if Cerberus can pull off the miracle. They play DBL and EVOS. DBL will be the next game. Thank you all for joining us.
Thank you.